So what is this thing we got here? Oh my, is that an M&P that just ran 2 magazines without blowing up?
It did make it through 2 magazines. Obviously the situation with the original M&P Pro Series firearm that I had has been resolved finally after about 2.5 months. If you want to know what happened, the links to those videos will be here. But I picked up the M&P core today in the 9mm chambering. And as you can see, obviously it does not have the optics on it, which is the main attraction of this, is that it comes drilled and tapped, ready for you to attach a micro red dot to it. Just picked up this morning. I have not yet decided on what kinds of optics are going to go on top of this. But here it is.
So dimensionally, let's talk about dimensions versus other guns. I have here a Glock 17. We stack them side by side. You can see that dimensionally they're pretty similar as far as this dimension is concerned. Pretty similar. The major argument for the Smith product is, if I flip these around here, the grip angle, you can see, is completely different between the Smith and the Glock, and that's the argument that we get a lot, is the Smith has more of a forgiving grip than that of the broken armed Glock that we have, where you have to break your wrist to shoot it. But other than that, the barrel's clearly a little bit longer.
Yeah, 5-inch barrel. Get a very long sight radius with it. They really used up all the real estate that's there for your sight radius. Things that I really like about it are the ergonomics. The grip itself, just the texture on the back strap, which they do give you 3 interchangeable back straps. It does actually come with the medium size on it. I'm probably going to take that down to the smallest for my feminine little hands. But
feminine. Yes, you're definitely feminine.
It's sort of like a rubberized texture that just really feels right to me, and especially somebody who's a little bit smaller frame person. And it's actually, the grip itself is fairly thin too, so it does fit my hand quite well, being a smaller frame person. The slide is very smooth right out of the box, so somebody who's maybe just a little bit more physically weak or anything like that, like me for example, or female shooters, you're really going to like this. I believe they call it the fishtail type texture on here. It just gives you a great purchase on the back of this. It's very easy to manipulate this weapon, no problem.
Rather than traditional serrations like we have on like this XD here, well, we got this in here, we can go ahead and throw it in there for dimensional comparison. Now, the other thing that's kind of neat about this core version is not only is it, like we said, drilled and tapped for optics, but it also has the raised, I call them suppressor sights, but they're optics ready sights.
Yeah, they are set up to co-witness with whatever optic I decide to put on this, which is probably going to be an RMR. But other than that, they'll give you ambidextrous slide stops, which not something that, as a predominantly right-handed shooter, not something that really hits the market with me a whole lot. But left-handed shooters, you're set up, you can operate this weapon with the ambidextrous controls there. The takedown on it is very easy as well. We're not going to do that just yet because we're going to shoot it a little bit more. But it's actually identical to the procedure for a Springfield XDS. You simply pull the trigger, tract, flip a lever down, and disassemble. It'll just come right off. So real quick and easy there. Also has an integrated light rail. And something that makes this very appealing to me personally as a home defense option, to be able to get a light on there just right out of the gate. We're going to have to shoot it a lot more, and so that I'm convinced with its reliability before I would put it on the nightstand. But it's definitely something that was a consideration I made when I decided to buy this.
When we're talking about light rails, if you look at this light rail, it has 3 ports, 3 serration ports on there. So it's got 3 sections of rail, whereas like the competitor, the Glock, only has 1. So that is a consideration, that they have 3 molded spaces there for more real estate if that's something that you're into.
Yeah, definitely versatile for plenty of different sizes of light sources you can mount on this, no problem. But it's a very soft shooter as well. I think it's pretty obvious, if we would compare it to maybe a very large 9mm handgun like this Beretta M9, how low the bore axis is on it. As you can see, where the webbing of your hand will fit into there is just very high up, and the slide itself is just very low profile. So it's a very soft shooter. It sends the recoil just directly into your arm. There's very little muzzle rise, very tight groups with this. I really, really like it.
Yeah, those were tight groups earlier, for sure.
So
well, let's see if we can try and tighten those up a little bit now.
Continuing on with that.
Wombat standard group.
The recoil on it is very manageable. It's a very, very comfortable gun to shoot. This is probably the most comfortable 9mm that I've ever fired.
You definitely can't tell the trigger reset. You just kind of gotta gauge it. It's like on the Glock where you can feel the noticeable click from a Glock from that reset.
It's not as tactical, or not as tactile on that.
You can't really feel it, but it shoots nice. I like it.
I think it might be a function of that hinge trigger that is like messing with the ability to kind of feel the reset. Instead of the bar hitting the actual frame, there's a section of the lower part of the trigger that catches the frame, and that's what prevents the trigger from traveling rearward. So definitely different than the XD or the Glock style of safe action trigger, but just as effective. And people complain about the hinge trigger a lot. I don't know that that's necessarily a deal breaker. I think it shoots just fine even with the goofy trigger. I do believe that some models are shipping with the Apex trigger now, but don't quote me on that. Do you guys know if the Apex trigger is shipping in these? No?
I will say that is a little bit different having to shoot over top of those raised sights that are for the optics. So maybe this thing will shoot a little better with the optics. I like the trigger though. Trigger's nice. Resets well. All out of boom boom juice. Shoots very smooth. Trigger is different. In the style of the shape. The shape is something that you have to get used to because
it's very forward sweeping.
Yeah, because I mean on the XD it's a little bit more vertical, but on this it just kind of sweeps. So you're really having to really get your finger inside of there. On this you can just kind of like fingertip it. On the Smith you have to really make sure that you get inside to really pull it back. The version that I was looking at was not the C.O.R.E, just because in the store as I was looking at it, I didn't like these raised sights very much, just because my eyes did not focus well having to go raised. My eyes focused along the top of the slide, so that's just what I went with intuitively. Would I get this one? No, I would get the regular Pro Series.
Good luck.
Yeah. So check the magazine release, turn the gun completely upside down. Positive magazine release. Cool.
A little bit.
Hold it sideways. See if it. All right. So we get a lateral movement of a couple inches. Yeah. Very cool. All right. What do you think overall there, boss?
Oh, I think I'm pretty happy that I did decide to go ahead and have it replaced and stick with Smith on this one.
Versus like a competitor? Like
a couple of the options I was looking at were the Glock 35 and the 5.25 inch barrel XDM from Springfield. And I looked at them and held them and I liked them, but I decided we're going to go ahead and stay with Smith, give him the benefit of the doubt on the tragedy that happened before.
Yeah, we've run about 10 magazines through it today, and it hasn't blown up yet, huh?
It is structurally sound as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I'd noticed that you also don't have any gloves on today. So you must really trust that thing again.
Well, I had them on when we started. Once we passed the 34 round mark, I took the extra level. Ow.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, it didn't blow up. Let's go throw it in the mud.
Can we?
He's like so pumped. We're never throwing any weapon that I purchase in the mud again.